Green Spring. I am really thrilled to be your host on this just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous Friday. It is June 9th, 2009, and I'm your host, Diane Gatzis-Havinga. And if you haven't figured out by now, or you haven't seen me riding my bike in and out of Green Spring, you should know that I have been commuting by bicycle now for as long as I've been at Green Spring. So it's, believe it or not, it's coming on to the 13th year that I have been biking to work. And I love it. And this month was the 200th anniversary of the bicycle. And as you hopefully caught the show last week, Jane Curtis talked about the invention of the bicycle and all the various phases of how it went from a instrument, if I can use that word, with no pedals to where we are at right now. And we're going to be talking today not so much about the history of the bicycle, but how you can utilize the bike. I'm sure most of you are bikers, or were at one time. And I have a very special guest. Let me introduce you to Adam Lynn. He's from the Fairfax County program. He's a Fairfax County program coordinator with Fairfax County government, and you're in charge of the bicycle program for the county. That is correct, within the county's Department of Transportation. So first, why did the county decide they needed a bike program?
So I think now it's going on about 9 years ago. You know, the county and the region as a whole has seen an increase in bicycling. We were always doing trail projects and projects related to bicycling, but as the focus became greater, more people became biking, became a greater niche for people to actually get into, and the county felt they needed somebody with a specialization in design and planning for biking.
So do we have any idea how many people actually commute by bike in the county?
So there is a American Community Survey that the Census Bureau does that has a fairly low number. It's about 0.3% as of the 2010 survey, I believe. But that's a low estimate, because if you bike to Metro or you only bike part of the way, you normally don't count biking as commuting in that survey. So the number's a lot higher, and we've seen the numbers of bikers continue to grow year after year as we continue to add more bike facilities.
I know on my route, when I started out, I might have seen 1 or 2 commuters, and of course it depends on the weather, but now that the weather's getting nicer, I'm seeing more and more people on the trail that I use to go to work. And I do know that you know, the bike commuter, I forget what they call it, where you can rent a bike for the
bike share. The
bike share program has been exploding, not only in Fairfax County, but Arlington and Washington, D.C. And I thought the Washington, D.C. metro area was considered one of the primary bike areas in the country.
Yeah. It definitely is. I mean, in DC itself, they have the highest amount of people biking because, you know, shortest trips, the most density, and then as you go out, the numbers kind of go down. But the suburban areas have really great trail networks between the WNOD, the Mount Vernon Trail. You know, Fairfax County has a great park system with tons of trails and trail networks. So even if you're not commuting, you know, if you're just going to run an errand or you just want to go out and enjoy nature in the parks, you know, the trail system is really here and is a safe way for people to get around and have a good time.
So for our residents, and I'm not sure if I shared this information in our conversation beforehand, you know, our residents are, I'm gonna treat you young today. They're about 80 plus. In terms of age. So, and we do have several residents who do bike on a regular basis. In fact, sometimes I see them and in a distance, and I go, wow, that guy's really moving. And then I realize he's one of our residents, and I'm like, whoa. So we do have some very enthusiastic residents who continue to bike. But if I'm a resident that hasn't been on a bike in a while, why would I care about a trail?
So a trail is probably going to be your safest, most comfortable option. You know, you're separated from cars, so you don't have that threat. most of the really advanced bicyclists choose to ride on the road, so the people who are going the fastest probably aren't on the trail, so it's a slower speed for you. You can kind of enjoy nature and where you're around, and then if you aren't comfortable crossing a street, you can wait and use pedestrian signals and wait for the crosswalk to cross the street. So it's really a slower paced, probably safer, more relaxed environment than biking on the road, especially if you're just getting started.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the program that you run.
Yeah, so we cover everything under the sun related to biking, from adding new bike lanes to designing and planning for new trails, making sure that bike parking is available at destinations, because it's great to be able to get to a shopping center, but if there's nowhere to lock your bike up, you kind of have to run the risk of locking it to a pole or somewhere where it's not, and depending on the location, some private entities will remove your bike and then you're kind of out of luck. So we want to make sure that there's good, safe bike parking at your destinations. As you mentioned, we do bike share, which is currently in Reston and Tysons, potentially going to expand to new areas of the county as the program continues to grow and mature. We have our new county bike map here, which we have hard copy versions of, and that's also available online on our county website. So this is a new style of map. It's called a level of comfort map. So all of the streets in the county are rated on a 1 to 4 scale, with green being the most comfortable, to where, you know, the term is 8 to 80. So you'd be comfortable with your 8-year-old granddaughter, or you'd be comfortable as an 80-year-old using these streets. So these are your low volume neighborhood streets. The trails are all labeled on there, whether they're wide trails adjacent to roadways or trails through parks. So this is really a good tool to kind of show you where you can bike depending on your comfort level. And there's also a lot of information about the county's bike program, bike parking, everything really related to biking as a marketing aspect on the backside of that map as well. And those maps are also available at any bike shop in the county. They're at all the supervisor district's office. So here in Lee District at Supervisor McKay's office. They'll soon be available at all the rec centers and at the library. So we're really trying to make this, it's free. It's something that's accessible to everybody in the county, to really just show people that there is a good option, whether you're commuting or just biking for fun. In Fairfax, it's a great option to get around.
So it occurs to me while you're talking that Fairfax County is embracing bikes as a way to perhaps deal with our increasing traffic issues. Is that what really is behind their motivation? Or
I mean, that's probably how it started. You know, the idea is if every person that's not in a car, every person that's biking is a person that's not in the car. So the way I've started to think about this kind of jokingly is, how many times have you come up to a red light and got stuck behind 1 or 2 cars and you get stuck for the cycle? If those 1 or 2 people are now biking, you make it through the light and that little annoyance is gone. On a bigger picture, you know, you look at the trails like the Mount Vernon and the WNOD that carry hundreds, if not thousands of cyclists. So that's hundreds, if not thousands of people that aren't on the road causing more congestion. Since then, it's kind of grown. You know, biking has been shown to be good for economic development. It's good for property values. There's the whole public health aspect of keeping people active and healthy. So there's a wide range of benefits that biking just kind of ties together in the county's goals.
So what are you working on right now in terms of the future? What is the major objective? We just are finishing up our kind of annual repaving and restriping season. So every year VDOT comes out and repaves a lot of streets that need it. And through that process, we're able to look at the stripes on the road and decide, hey, is there excess room or capacity, or we can redesign the street to be safer, not only for bikes by adding bike lanes, but for pedestrians, if we can add crosswalks, if we can narrow the crossing distance. So instead of crossing 4 lanes, maybe you're only crossing 3. So that's kind of our big target that we just got done with in the last 6 months. And that's the quickest, biggest impact work that we do. Additionally, we're actually working on a project on the Fairfax County Parkway. So on the trail there, that'll add wayfinding. So these are bike signs that tell you where to go as a bicyclist along the trail, because the Parkway Trail does move in and out of the Parkway right-of-way. And also, if you wanted to go to a shopping center that's off the Parkway, you might take a different route than the cars would take, because it's a 4-lane road that has no bike lane. So as a bicyclist, you don't want to be on that road. So those are some of the kind of immediate projects that we're working on. And we're always working on, 2, 3, 4, 5-year projects to add big trail segments throughout the county. So I know a big push was last month was National Bike month, and as part of that month, there was also the Bike to Work month day. Excuse me. That's the day that I usually don't bike to work. No, I'm just kidding. But is the county involved in that particular day too?
That was a big push for us. Well, this is the first year that we actually took advantage of Bike Month and created a bike calendar that had, Bike to Worship days, Bike to the Farmers Market week. We did a whole week of all the farmers markets in the county where we had the bike map available and encouraged people to bike there, just as a different way to go think about that. The county as itself hosts two pit stops, one at the Fairfax County Government Center and one at the Burke VRE. But within the county as a whole, there's roughly 13 or 14 Bike to Work Day pit stops. So we help to encourage everybody to do that, help to coordinate, and I think within the region there are close to 100 pit stops and over almost 19,000 people participated this year. So Bike to Work month, week, day is a big deal, but we're really focused on keeping that momentum moving forward. And if we get people to try it out and say, hey, the rest of the summer is the same way, it's nice weather, you know the route now, keep it up, keep going.
And do people mainly bike within the county, or do they extend out to, like, say, Washington, D.C., since most of the people in this area are, I think the numbers have dropped in terms of how many people actually are commuting to the district now, but do people actually use Fairfax County to get over to the district?
Yeah, it's, for Fairfax County, we can't really just pigeonhole it as one place. It's 400 square miles. There's a lot of different areas. So closer into DC and Arlington, as I mentioned, the Mount Vernon Trail. So there's a lot of people from Alexandria that commute into DC because it's a straight shot on the trail. Same thing along the WNOD and kind of the Falls Church region, even out to Reston. Some people are doing that 15, 16, 20-mile ride. But a lot of biking isn't about long-distance commuting. It's about taking these short trips where, if you have to drive a mile, you can bike a mile. Asking people to regularly bike 20 miles in an hour and a half isn't something that most people are going to do, but asking people to choose to bike to the farmer's market that's a half a mile down the street from them or a mile is something that you can do. And that's something that we're focusing on more, is not so much the commute trips, but getting people to realize that the other short trips are possible by bike, and they're actually really easy and sometimes even faster than driving because you don't get stuck at all the traffic lights.
So if I wanted to buy a bike, could I call the county and say, I haven't biked in a while, or I haven't, I gave away my bike when I moved to Green Spring?
Right. You can definitely call us, but we're not the experts on that. There are tons of bike shops in the county. I think our bike map here actually has all of the bike shops shown on there. So you can simply find one. There's a few in this area, I know. And that getting to the bike shop and having somebody who's an expert in terms of the technical nature of a bike and fitting you and making sure the bike that you use is the safe kind and the right kind for what kind of riding you're going to be doing is the best route to go.
So Adam, are you able to commute by bike?
I did commute a lot. I just moved into the district, so my commute's gone from about an 11-mile ride to about a 17-mile ride, so I haven't tried it yet. But it's something that I'm definitely going to start doing once I get the courage to bike up a big hill from Roslyn to Ballston and Arlington.
Yeah, those hills will get you every time, won't they? But does the county also work with the other jurisdictions in the area in terms of planning and figuring out what to do with potential problems? Or
yeah, there's not so much at this point on project implementation, but a lot on the planning side. We work with Arlington and Alexandria to make sure that when we're doing a map, our routes are connecting to their routes. This bike map's a good example. It has the bike routes that Alexandria has approved and Arlington in it. So when, as a bicyclist, your trip doesn't end when you get to an imaginary county line. You keep going, the roads keep going, they hardly change. So we wanted to make sure that we're showing people, okay, once you get to the edge, you can keep going. These are the routes that the other jurisdictions have already approved. And that way you don't kind of get hung out to dry on your trip.
So if going back, if I'm a resident, where would I start? Once I decide I'm gonna go ahead and start to bike again.
Right. So if you get your bike already, the first step is probably to potentially take it around the neighborhood here where it seems like you've got pretty low speeds. The speed limit's 15 miles an hour, even in a parking lot, just to kind of get the feel for biking again, get used to turning. The Washington Area Bicycling Association, which is in DC, they mostly has beginners classes. So if there was a big group of people at Green Spring who were interested, I'm sure you guys could work with WABA. That's that group to come out and do a cycling class. Kind of give you the basics again about signaling, you know, going right and going left, and kind of just interacting with cars and learning from there. You do have the Fairfax County Parkway Trail if you're comfortable to get across the parkway, even if you want to walk your bike through that crosswalk. And then you've got a pretty long trail network where you should be fairly comfortable just getting the hang, and you can go a mile up and come a mile back. And as you get more confident and stronger, you can start to extend your trips and see how long you can go.
Are there any laws that bike commuters or just bicyclists need to be concerned about when they're?
So the laws that apply to vehicles apply to bikes. So if you're biking, you're supposed to stop at all the stop signs, stop at all the stoplights, signal, yield, all the same. In Fairfax County, you're allowed to ride on sidewalks. So you can bike in the road, you can bike on the trail, or you can bike on sidewalks. Some jurisdictions have laws where you can't bike on the sidewalks, like in their core downtown. But everywhere in Fairfax, you're allowed to cycle on the sidewalk. Sometimes that's the only option, and sometimes that's the safest option. So be defensive. You are on a bicycle. If it, God forbid, you get in an crash, you will lose because you're not in a 2-ton metal box. But bicycling's fun. It's safe. We have a very, very low crash rate. We have very few crashes with bikes in the county, and it's a great way to just increase your physical health and your mental health.
Do I have to wear a helmet? Is that a law?
It's not a law unless you're with your younger kids under 16, but it's always advised. It's a good habit to have, and there's really no reason not to wear a helmet when you're biking.
And I don't need any special clothes when I bike?
Nope. Whatever you feel comfortable in. If you want to be one of those go-getters and get the full bike outfit, you can. If you want to wear normal clothes like this, you can. And if you want to wear anything in between, just some gym shorts and a t-shirt, you should be good and comfortable to go.
So with, again, going back with your program, what do you envision, or what are you hoping for in the next 5 years?
So we're definitely looking to expand bike share to new areas.
First, actually, we should explain what bike share is.
Good point. So bike share is somewhat like a rental bike system where there's bikes stationed at specific places around the county or around an area. Right now they're in Reston and Tyson. So in the Reston example, there's 15 stations kind of scattered about. You have the option to become a member, and then you can go up to any station at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and check a bike out, and then you ride it to another station and put it there. So it's somewhat like transit, like getting on a bus at one point and getting off at another point, but the benefit is it's kind of on demand, so you don't have to wait for the bus to come. As long as a bike is available, you can take a bike out, put it where another station is, and then go on your way, and same thing coming back. So it's really cool. It's point-to-point transit, kind of on demand, and you get to do it with the fun of bicycling.
So I've often seen people on Metro and with the buses. You see some of the buses that are equipped with bike racks in front of the bus, and then on Metro they allow bikes to be used, but not during rush hour, is my understanding. So how does that all work? Do you work with the bus department, or I guess it's the transportation department?
So Fairfax Connector is part of the Fairfax County Department of Transportation. Every Fairfax Connector bus has at least 2, if not 3 bike racks on the front, so that way that almost certainly if you want to put your bike on the bus, you'll have that option. We do take the bus around to lots of events in the county. The Fairfax Fair is this weekend, so if you're coming up, the bus will be there. We'll have a bike there to demonstrate how to put it on, because it's not complicated, but that's just one of the things. People have never done it. They've never tried it. So the bus driver isn't going to help you put it on. You're the one that's supposed to. Okay. So it's a pretty easy latch to put down, pick it up, but that is one of the drawbacks. People are a little bit nervous. They don't want to hold up the bus for 5 minutes because they don't know what they're doing. So we do take the bus around for people to try that out and see. And again, it'll be at the fair all 3 days this weekend for people to try out. On Metro, you can take your bike on the trains, just not during rush hour, as you mentioned. So 7 to 10 a.m. and then 4 to 7 p.m. So on the weekends, you can take it whenever you want.
So do you yourself like to take trails and go out, especially on the weekend?
Yeah, I love the trail network. I mean, Fairfax County has a great trail network, as I mentioned. The park system is really great. You know, in addition to the W&OD and the Mount Vernon Trail, which both go through the county, which can be a little bit frightening for new riders because there's a lot of people who use those trails as training rides, and there's families and kids and strollers, so they do get crowded.
And dogs.
And dog walkers. Yeah, you got to watch out for the leashes. But the Cross County Trail is a great option. So that runs north to south from Great Falls all the way to the south of the county. It's a much slower speed trail. Some of it's paved, some of it's unpaved, but it's still wide and you can still bike on it. So it's a good, fun trail that's a lot slower speed. And then, you know, there's Sugarland Run, there's Cub Run Stream Valley Trail. So there's all these really nature trails that are just kind of good to get out and enjoy. And on nice sunny days like this, you get some shade from the trees and you can see animals and the streams going by. So it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, I've often been amazed. Doesn't happen often, but enough where sometimes I turn and I'm looking at a deer and they're looking at me and I'm like, okay, you stay there. I'm going this way. But there is a lot of nature that you can see, and it's a good way to kind of calm down after prepare for work on the way in and calm down on the way out. So can you leave us with, I don't know if advice is the right word, but, you know, again, for our residents, what would you like to leave them with?
I would say go try it. If you're interested, try it out. It's a fun thing to do, even if you're just going to bike around this small community here. You know, it seems like you guys have some nice trails and walkways around the lakes. Just something relaxing, stimulating for the mind and the body to stay healthy and stay active. Use our bike map. It's got a lot of great resources if you do want to get out of the community. I'm sure you guys would be willing to lead some rides, and if there's big interest in that, the county can help do that. And come out and just kind of take people on a beginner's ride around the area and on the Parkway Trail, just to get people a little bit of confidence boost before they want to go out. But summer's a great time. It's sunny, it's warm. If you're going to try biking, now's the time to start.
Well, thank you so much, Adam, for coming and educating us about all the trails and where to go to. So again, the bike map trail is free. And you can also go online to find the trails. And I know the bike store that I use has a big map in the store, so I'm pretty sure most of the bike stores also have a map. And I'm pretty sure you could probably call Fairfax County Office of, what's the official name of your?
Fairfax County Department of Transportation.
And say you're interested in learning about biking, and I bet you they'll direct you to Adam here.
We'll be happy to help as much as we can.
So, well, thank you so much, Adam, for coming and enlightening us. Before I let you go, I want to tell you what else is coming up. You know, we have a full schedule of programming that we do over the weekend, but today we have we have the Wakefield Chorale, and that's going to air at 2 and 8 p.m. And then our Friday night chapel program is Pentecost, which was last Sunday, and that will air at 5 and 9 p.m. And then on the weekends, we start out, of course, with our exercise shows, and then at 9:30, we repeat all the Village in Motions from the 9:30 a.m. to the noon segment, both Saturday and Sunday. And we have another chapel feature on Augustine of Hippo, Part 2, and that will air on Saturday and Sunday at noon and 5 p.m. The weekend feature is the Board of Directors meeting, which was held here a few weeks ago at Green Spring, and that will air Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. And then the weekend concert, this is going to get you set for when Elizabeth Von Trapp returns to Green Spring. We had her, I can't remember, a few years back, I don't have the exact year, but she did a concert and it was entitled Sound of Music. So check that out at 8 and 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Our video time machine is Health and Nutrition, and this takes us back to May 13th, 2011. and it will air at 4 and 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And our monthly call-in show will be on Village in Motion on Monday with our executive director, Chandra. And we ask you, if you're going to call, you need to call at the 10 a.m. Live show. Sometimes I get calls at noon, and they want to ask Chandra a question. And so 10 a.m., call us at 10 a.m., and she'll answer those questions. And Adam mentioned that this weekend, Fairfax County has their big, what do they officially call that?
Fairfax Fair.
A Fairfax Fair. And in addition to having all sorts of entertainment, they have concerts, they have carnival-type rides. They're celebrating the 275th anniversary of Fairfax County, which is an incredible feat if you think about it. 275 years, and hopefully we're going to be doing a show about that later on in the summer. We were hoping to coordinate at the exact date, which I think is Monday, but they're a little busy.
A little bit.
Are you going to be at the fair?
I will be at the fair. Our whole Department of Transportation is actually going to be at the fair. It's a good place to interact with the residents. Our bike ped team will be there. We'll have the bike maps if anybody wants to come and get those, and we'll have a bike share bike for people to try out. So we'll be there to share any information that we can. So
lots going on this weekend. And before I let you go, the names that you're going to see momentarily are all the wonderful people that make us look, sound, and I don't know, just make us look and sound great. So you have a great weekend. This is just a wonderful day. Go out, take a bike, and use those trails. Thanks.